I wish I could put faith in God. I wish I could love Jesus like the Bible says he loves me. I wish I could have faith in heaven, and I wish that I would believe these thoughts. Welcome to a new video, one that's a bit different than my normal style of content, my normal topics. I'm talking about religion today. Now, before I start, I want to make it very clear that I'm not bashing religion. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I'm not saying one religion is better than the other. You guys believe whatever you want to believe. I'm not judging anyone here. I also wanted to clarify that I'm technically raised Catholic, but more casual than anything, and I am baptized in the Catholic religion. I also went to a Catholic elementary and a Catholic high school, so there is some influence there. Let me begin first by saying how great religion can be. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about organized religion, but more personal religion, your relationship with God. Now, I think it's more important what your relationship is with a creator rather than what a church tells you. I've always been like that. I've never been a huge fan of the church because I think it's more of a personal experience. I can't believe if a priest tells me to believe. That's my own personal journey, you know? And I think that was part of my upbringing because we didn't go to church much. It'd be on Easter and Christmas, but we'd pray. We wouldn't say grace often or anything. Again, that was mostly for big occasions with family. But it was my experience is more spiritual than religious, I would say. And now, I think tying into that, I've always been a fan of the idea that you aren't alone in this universe, and that the universe does indeed love you. So rather than having a cold, nihilistic, meaningless existence, everything is done for a reason. And I think that should be comforting in the sense where if you're going through something bad right now, you know that there's a plan there and it's for a reason. My problem with that is if you are in something that has happened due to your own actions, I don't know how that can be for a reason, or if that's a reason, or if God did that, you know what I mean? And I struggle with that because that makes no sense to me. Now, the idea of heaven is also difficult for me to comprehend. I've watched the show The Good Place twice now. It's an amazing show. If you haven't seen it and you're into spirituality, go watch it. It's so good. It combines every religion into this one idea. And the afterlife they have is there's a good place, a neutral place, and a bad place. And so the actual no, I'm not gonna spoil it if in case you guys need to watch it. But anyway, the good place is, you know, our typical idea of heaven, and it's like nice town, anything you want, your ideal house, all your loved ones, everything. It's the depiction of heaven, the classic depiction, right? And so there's an option though that you can go into this portal and that you won't exist anymore. You may be asking yourself, well, why when you want everything? But think about it. If you're there for eternity, it's bound to get boring at some point. And so this portal is there so you cannot exist anymore. Rather than being depressing, it's actually a beautiful thing. And that thought was so surreal to me, and that's what initially got me into this religious topic and philosophy and that sort of thing. And so I looked at that and I was like, okay, you know what? I want to be religious. I wish to put faith in God and believe in him. And I try so hard to believe in a God. And I can't do it. I identify as spiritual and agnostic, which means I want to believe, but I just can't. And there are certain arguments like, the idea of you being here is just so rare, and being able to live on Earth is so statistically impossible that it shouldn't have happened, so there must be a God. But that makes no sense to me, because I'm like, well, give anything enough time and it's bound to happen. It's the idea of infinite time, right? And so I wish there was a way to prove that not necessarily God exists, but there's something that exists. And now I wanted to talk a bit about your personal relationship, because I mentioned that before, your personal relationship with God versus a church relationship. I believe everyone has their own image of God, and that's on purpose, because each one of us is unique. And so obviously each one of us is going to have our own interpretation of what a creator looks like, or what they are like, not necessarily in looks, but in personality and in morals and ethics and that sort of thing. And so I don't know what mine would be. I know a lot of people have an idea, and that brings them comfort, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I strive to be like that. That's why when I see people who are religious, especially young people, I find older folks, it's a bit different because they've had more time on this earth and they've had more experiences. And so it's going to be obviously a bit different for them because they've had more time to almost just think about it, right? But for people around my age, for Gen Z, I find it so impressive to be at that young of an age and place your faith in God. I think that's beautiful. And I wish to know how they did that. And now I struggle a lot with a bunch of different things. And there's been a few times where I've read a Bible verse and, it's brought me some comfort, but I can't shake the feeling that it's not a voice of God. It's so hard to explain, but you know what I mean? Now, I also wanted to talk a bit about Minecraft and the end poem. The end poem is so beautiful, and even though it doesn't talk about God, it talks about the universe. And I think that's a very interesting concept, that it's the entire universe rather than one God, like as in one person. It's the universe that created you, and the universe loves you. And I think that makes more sense to me, because rather than having one person that represents everything, it's the universe that represents it. And it's just hard to wrap our human brain around that, right? And I wish I could put faith in that God or the universe has what's best for me at heart. I find it very easily to slip into nihilistic thinking and completely forget that there's good to life too. I like to think that there's glimpses that there's a creator of some sort in the entire universe, like as in where we live. You go outside and you see a nice sunset, and the breeze wisps by, and you feel the warm air on your cheek. I like to think that's some sort of God showing themselves, because how could they explain to us that they exist without blowing our minds. So, yeah, I'll wrap it up here. If you guys have any advice for me or for others, please leave it in the comments, because we're all on the same journey here. We're just people trying to figure out our lives. I wanted to leave you with one quote from my dad, actually. It's from the Bible. So let be, let God. Okay? See you later. Take care of yourselves.